Hi guys, this is series 3 and the topic is should I upgrade my HDB or not? Hi guys, I'm Deborah from Property 24/7. Today we'll be sharing to you on this question that has been widely questioned by most of individuals like us. So as you can see, in Singapore, we're actually a very small red dot. We're actually having only a 5.6 million resident count. And out of which this population, right, there's actually three segments. One of which is the HDB, which means the Housing Development Board of Singapore, which is the government subsidized housing. 80% of all Singaporeans actually live in HDB. And these houses are, as you can see in the background of this picture, there's actually 99 years lease and a range of 10 years. Some are older, some are newer. There is low rise, the higher rise ones, there's point blocks and everything. And the next secondary one is actually over here, which is the 15% of our private market, which means to say they can be private condominiums with very big plots of land, full condo amenities. And there's another smaller segment, which are like the small scale apartment status as well. These prices are actually controlled more of by the developers, private developers. It can be big boys, companies like CDL, UOL, all the Chip Ing Sing and everything. Then the last one, which we have, is actually the 5% landed properties, which is actually a house of your own, and usually you have a small garden or even a large garden, depending on which segment you are at. So as we move forth, why property prices, especially in the HDB, is actually something like a commodity, right? That it cannot fluctuate much. It's actually more like a controlled item. For example, like if you notice, right, like the recent COVID virus, COVID-19, you notice that there are actually masks, mask masks, that are actually selling in the market, and there is a price limit to the different types of masks. So it's a control item. Very much similarly like HDB, it's not that it's totally controlled, but the government cannot allow such major fluctuations in such a way that buyers, when they buy a HDB, their aim is to make a lot of profit. So in those good old days, like my mom's days, for example, in 1980s, they bought a HDB very cheap, maybe 30K, 50K, and today it has appreciated like maybe even 10 times. So the question is, are we able to use that same concept in today? Like for example, if you're buying a BTO, which is a built to order government flat, at say today $400,000, do you expect that same trend for it to appreciate in the next 10 times more, which is $4 million? That is definitely impossible. So as we move forth, over here you can see this is the HDB overall market trend. We have taken a trend from 2017 all the way to 2019, and the overall per square feet drop, it has decreased from $430 per square feet averagely to about 400. So there's actually a percentage drop of about 3.5% in the overall market view, depending on the location as well. If we move forth, we'll be breaking it down into three different parts. The 3 rooms over here, which is the drop of about 5.5% in the span of 3 years. You notice that later on, as we see the 4 bedrooms and 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms over here, we are looking at a 3.2% drop, similar time frame, 2017 to 2019 as well. And the 5 bedroom drop is only about 2.1%. If you notice the trend, right, is that why 5 rooms actually drop a lot lesser is because of the supply and demand. Most of the 5 bedrooms usually tend to be big families. So for them, it's harder to actually move out to another different size unit. The 5 bedrooms are a majority for the long-term stays, whereas for 3 room, 4 rooms, they can be potentially upgraders or even downgraders. Thus, there's more fluctuation and more volume as well. Then the other one, which is the executive apartment or the jumbo, which is actually a price drop of the lease, which is only 1.7%. Same thing for family members of a very big household. They have actually limited choices. So their price range, the drop is very minimal as the supply is minimal as well. The change of hands, there are definitely change of hands, but it's not as consistent as the 3-bedroom and 4-bedrooms. There tend to be a bit more supply in the 3 and 4 bedrooms over here in Singapore. Then we are taking a look at these HDBs. For example, if you notice in Punggol Central, this is actually on the northeast side of Singapore. We're taking the timeline for the 5 bedrooms at 2012 and 2005. This period is a span of 7 years. The buyers who bought from start to the day they sold averagely is about 7 years. As we take this sample, they have bought a property which is close to about 650,000. Then as you move forth, right, you realize that their property after 7 years, thereabout, it has dropped to the similar block 600 over series, the Punggol Central. It has dropped to about 400 over 1,000. So the price range drop is averagely about 200K in a span of less than 7 years. So that is a huge jump for Punggol region. The next sample we will be taking will be another 5-bedroom in Montreal Drive area, which is the Sembawang region. Their price range for the 5-room is about 500 over 1,000. That is in 2012, the 500 over series as well. Then moving forward, almost 6 years later, that similar range of blocks have dropped to about close to 400K. That is a substantial drop of about 130,000 in a span of 5 years thereabout. So the question is, guys, if you were to buy a HDB, I'm not saying that every single HDB will drop in price. Mature area prices tend to be a bit more consistent and the drop is very minimal. But then the thing is that if you're buying locations that are very prime, it can easily, for example, if you're buying a 5-bedroom HDB, it can cost you easily 700,000. All the way to recent days, we have been selling HDBs at close to $1 million. And the record high in this jumbo Ang Mo Kio was close to about $1.1 million. So the thing is, if you are planning to buy a HDB, the area that you're looking at, it has to be accurate. The area that you're buying, it has to have potentially lesser supply if possible, depending on your affordability as well. So end of the day, when you buy a property, you still have to fit your financial needs, regardless of how mature that location is or somewhere that is maybe very far off. End of the day, you still have to work out your finances, your monthly mortgages, your CPF usage, whether it's sufficient to cover this. And in the event, if let's say yourself or your spouse may lose the job, then what is the backup plan that you would have to be able to make the payments of the mortgages consistently and for how long as well? So over here, this example, what we're showing is a private property in the Bukit Timah region. What we're trying to share to you is that, for example, if you have bought a HDB at that point of time and you lost a 200K in the span of say 6 years or 7 or 8 years, versus if you have put that same, let's say for example, you had choose not to buy the HDB, but you choose to buy a private property instead, for example, then I have bought that property at 2010 and my holding period is about 5 years. There is a potential profit ranging from $200,000 to $400,000. That is an annualized returns of about say 2% on average over a span of 10 years. So this is the potential upside of a private property. And then the next one we'll be looking at is another one which is on the launch, one of the private properties launch as well at Edgedale Plains. Over here, you can notice that the purchase price, the purchase date was 2012. 7 years later in 2019, they sold off. There's a profit range of 150 all the way to about close to $300,000. So if you're taking a median range, it's about close to 200,000 profits. So this, we're looking back at same thing, the 5 bedrooms. The drop was about close to 220K over a span of a range of 6 to 8 years. So now as a buyer, right, before you proceed on to the next level, you need to understand your current finances, whether you are planning to buy a private or a HDB, the financial loans from the banks or even from the HDB, which is called the home loan eligibility, will differ in amount depending on your salary, depending on your bonuses, depending on what liabilities you have. Like for example, even the cars you have, the credit cards you have, all these will actually factor in to your loan, and it will affect your loan, and you'll get a lesser loan in the event if you have more liabilities on hand. So moving forward, you need to understand for yourself, for your children, even when you're buying a house, do you need the properties that is within the 1 kilometer zone of a specific school, or for example, a specific good school, or are you an alumni that you are a specific school, so it doesn't really matter. So what are your options? Are you going for a HDB, a private, a landed? But generally in the market, most buyers, they will start off usually from a HDB. Then as they progress, depending on their milestones, they will go from a HDB to a condo. And a condo, it can be a suburban area. But as time passes by, there may be a chance that they maybe want to move to a location that they are very familiar with, or even the prime location, or they just want to buy something that is their dream home. At the end of the day, the last stage, they may even eventually want to move into a landed. So for you guys, you really got to find out and weigh out your different options. And in this point of time, at your current age as well, what is the maximum tenure of loan you can get? Yeah. So the last thing, which is actually the portion whereby, do I buy something that I really like, or do I buy something that has a lot of chance for potential growth as well in terms of appreciation or rentability? Yeah. So if you guys have such questions and you may not have an answer, feel free to contact me. I'm Deborah and I'm from 24/7 Property. See ya, guys.